Okay, so welcome to this June meeting of quiz. So we have 4 points to discuss. And the first one is about the DrCuis project, which is a documentation project for quiz. So the idea is to organize the documentation and try to make visible also the existing documentation we have, to have a place where people can uh, more easily contribute. I mean, they can see where and what uh, they can do. I have some noise in my. Oh no. Okay. Um, so let me show. Okay. Okay. So I will share my screen. Maybe that's better. Uh, okay. No. Yeah. Share my screen. Okay. So. mm, Yeah, this is not what you want to see. Do you see the DrCuis page?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So the idea is to have these four types of documentation as described in the documentation system. I think this is Luciano that point it to us, I think. So we have tutorials, how-to guides, references, documentation, and explanation. So the idea is to have four repositories for each of this kind of documentation. So most of the time, the documentation will be in the form of a markdown page, but we can have also references to book. The how-to guides will be mainly markdown page. So we try to organize in subfolder following topics. So the idea is to have in this repository documentation that we think are good for to share for the user. So this is the same thing for this fork repository. Then we have a fifth repository, which is the workbench. The idea is to be to have a place to more to write documentation, to have documentation that is in a work in progress state, so not exactly ready for for the user, but something more where people can collaborate to review the existing document that have been written. And we have two ways to do this. This can be uh, through the wiki. So here we have some documentation that are in the process of being written. Okay, I can take some I work in. For example, this one. We don't have documentation right now about the command line option we have. This is more a question. Okay, we can have some clue from quiz, but maybe we don't have enough details for some of this option. And so this one is not finished, for example. It will need some more editing or review, or maybe more details or know-how. For example, this one, I don't know what is it exactly. Of course, I can guess from the code, but if some of you know, okay, what is it, and can write a few paragraphs very quickly, that can be done that way. So when this small document will be terminate, it will move in the place it belongs, which is in the, I guess this will be a references. So the idea will be to move this document in the references repository, likely in the form of a markdown page. So there is another document like this one, for example, which is, I think, is very useful when you want to develop an application to understand how is working the quiz launching procedure. So I have to read the code to know how it's working. I think I'm over with this documentation, but it would be nice, for example, if Juan, you can take a look and see if there is missing important point I did not describe. It could be useful. So okay, that's the workbench. And then we have, just to finish with the DrCuis, then we can have additional repository, maybe for larger documentation project like book. So this is the case for the quiz book. It has its own repository. But of course, when we go on, for example, in the tutorials, we can decide to point on some chapter of the book. So here, okay, I don't point to the chapter, but I write about chapter 1 to 5, which can be good for to learn about, which are more like tutorials. So maybe it should be more details with the chapter directly. So this will be distinct. And I mean, people, they can decide if they want to start some some uh, some some documentation in the format that they like to use. And people should do that. So that this is the idea, to have an organization for the whole documentation, not only one repository, but more like an organization, so we can structure the documentation with more freedom. Okay, so I think I'm over with that things. Yeah. Stop sharing my screen. So no, this is okay. So if you are good on that, so if you have question, if you want
Yes,
to discuss
Hilaire,
on what.
you just shown the startup options for quiz and a description of the startup procedure. Where was that?
This was in the
In,
workbench. Okay, I can show again. Maybe I was too quick.
in Workbench, I only see XML,
Yeah,
theme, and morph.
yeah, because you have two options. Let me show you again. Okay, you see my screen? Are we good?
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
So, okay, there is two options. I think if you want to just write text, the wiki is maybe easier. So you have some documentation, work in progress documentation in the wiki as well.
Okay, and the only wiki that is being used is the one in Workbench.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
So this is
okay,
there,
I haven't seen the wiki.
yeah, or it can
Yeah,
be
now I see it.
there, because no, because why these two options? Because, for example, if you want, here I start another one. This is me. This is about the term. If you want to have some screenshots, maybe it's better to just create a folder than to have your screenshot than the markdown page. I mean, I think maybe it's better to do it that way, because with the wiki you may have all the picture on the same folder, that it can be a mess. Right? This is, yeah, the two way. So you have to check both, really. How the initial guys that decide to start some documentation, how did it decide to do it? So the morphic, there is some, yeah, this is your stuff. XML, yeah, because there is some file, you see. So I think this is Ains. Yeah, he decided to do the XML because you have two documents. So you think this is more, is better to have this in one place. So I'm good. Ken. Please.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to share my screen again, see if we can't do this bimodal thing. And let's see. All right, so let's get the entire screen up here. Allow, and hopefully you see two images. Yeah, looks like it. So the reason I have two images is I want to show my proposed solution to the layer problem. And so I'm going to show you before and after. So it's a little bit synoptic here. So let's go ahead and I'll actually go ahead and show, start with my demo here on animated star. And so this is the star one morph. And so if I bring up a menu, you see it comes to the front, but that's the new one. The current one, if I bring the menu up, you see it's behind the halo, and I just think that's a little harder to read. And so I'm proposing that the morph anyway, the menu ought to be there first, and go ahead and start stepping. These are going to be a little odd there because Jitsi is a little slow, but see, it's just eye candy. And so the tutorial is just how to make this eye candy. And I guess to make it 5 minutes, I can go ahead and show the code behind that. Uh, let's see. So let me go ahead and again get an animated star, and it has random colors, as you can tell. And I'll go ahead and browse the morph class. And this is really, and as I say, the tutorial there, which is in DrCuis tutorials, or probably DrCuis how-tos, just shows how to do this stuff. And it's pretty simple stuff. Draw on just draws a circle unless you're terminating, probably draws a star unless you're terminating, in which case it draws a circle. And the star is just like its parent, except with the override that you're setting the color and the stroke width, so you can play with those. And drawing a circle is just drawing a circle, not a big thing. And it's using the step timer, and so it just goes and goes, bounces off the walls a certain number of times. And if your bounce count is less than the max bounce, it animates a step, otherwise it terminates. It just stops stepping. It redraws as a circle and then sets up a delay and just automatically deletes itself. And animate a step just goes through and checks and bounces off walls. So when it hits a wall, it goes ahead and changes its direction and resets the color. And so if it hits the wall, it says, okay, I increase the bounce count, change the color. If I just have a few instances, I go ahead and clone myself and send a new clone off. And otherwise, I stop because, as you know, with power of the two doubling, you hit a wall a few times and suddenly you're spending all your time drawing stars and not doing anything else. And so it's a really simple little thing, just a bit of eye candy. And the tutorial goes through how to do all that, the setup, and then you just get something fun to watch, and then it hits so many times, and it goes, and they just pop. So
Very
that
nice.
I
Very
just
nice.
you need a tutorial. You need to show how to do something, and so step-based animation is just kind of fun and a little eye candy.
Yeah, this is a good example to show the step mechanism. So yeah, in a funny way.
Yeah, it's just fun. It's just fun. Okay, so now the layer number thing. the original is on the left, and the original layer number, which just wants to keep things on top, gives an absolute number for the layer number every time. And this leads to a problem I'll show in a second. And the new version, I'm just saying, hey, we'll just use the property. And so that allows us to be able to override. And the reason is, I'll show you the difference here, is if we come and I'm going to ask for a color picker, and you see the color picker stays on top. And here, if I say, oh, I want to see what's behind it, and I say, send it back, you notice the layer number is constant, so it doesn't go anywhere. Where my proposed solution, I do a similar thing where I bring up a color picker, and it obfuscates whatever's in front of it. But here I can say send it back, and it does the right thing. And the other thing is if I go to debug and say, all right, I want to say browse the morph class, I don't see much here. And that's because the browser is hidden. And if I try to bring that to the front, let's see, it's a hierarchy browser. I say bring to front, and it doesn't change position because again, it's static. Where here, if I want to do a similar thing and say,
I don't have your
sorry,
screen. Okay, it's back.
browse the morph. Are you seeing the screen with the
No,
two things?
me no. You
I,
want?
I
Yes,
can
I
see
do.
it.
I can see it.
You have some problem there, it seems, here.
Yeah, my bandwidth is too narrow. Okay,
Oh, I'm sorry.
it's
I'm
back.
on a wide screen.
No,
I apologize.
no, it's okay. No, it's okay.
Uh, anyway, so I guess the easy way to say it, I could do these separately. If that would that help if I just went through it again separately?
So how do you change a property? I mean, how do you when you ask
Ah,
send back, send
sure.
front? That's maybe
Yeah,
the
yeah.
interesting part.
Let me show you the code behind that, and that's the easy thing to do. Okay, so I'll make this small, and I'll take this newer image. Is that better for your viewing pleasure?
I was talking about
Can you
my
see it?
internet bandwidth.
Uh,
The screen is
okay.
okay. The width of the screen is okay. This is my internet bandwidth. I don't know. Maybe I have some issue right now, but it's okay. Now I can see your
Okay.
wall screen. So you
Uh,
can full screen.
okay. Good. So if we say come to front, and go back is same thing. Come to front net halo. Come to front just does private move morph, and if I look at the implementer, so all that's happening here is when a morph is moved to the front, we just take the layer number of the old first submorph, and we set the property of our new morph to be that layer number adjusted with a guard. And so we're just doing a property rather than the absolute values. So let's see, let me open again, different message names, and we say layer number. And where the panel would return 30, the new version of layer number just sets the property to layer number every time. So we just use the property rather than returning an absolute value. So it becomes, we're changing a constant into a variable. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Let's see.
It makes sense to me.
Yeah. And so what that means is when we go here and private move more front just sets the layer number of that property. And then there's this private fixed layer order, and it just does whatever it did before, which was to say, oh yeah, this guy's in front or this guy's behind or whatever. And so that works both for go to back and come to front. And so the difference between a constant and a variable means that, you can come here and say, send it back or bring to front, and it goes ahead and makes the adjustment rather than being fixed and not being able to, not being able to go anywhere.
So this meant that okay. Do we have my microphone? Yes.
So yeah, so the only difference is that we're just using the property rather than returning an absolute value. So again, layer number, if the original version of layer number just returns an absolute value. So it's a constant, where I'm proposing that we just set the property with that default. And so the first time it's set, it gets that number. But then when we actually use it, then we can go ahead and make the adjustment. And so that way we can have the new panel always come to the front. And that means that, for example, a menu comes up in front of the halo. And we can also, if we have like a color picker or some other panel, we can bring it to the front or back so we can see the morph we're looking at or the browser.
And it seems to solve all the problem we have, I think.
What I don't understand is, I mean, how did the bring to front and send to back ever work before? I mean, I remember it working.
Because they were sharing all the same number, I think. The layer number was mostly all the same among all the morph, I guess.
Well, I think that private fixed layer order got added. Let's see. 2022. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know when the layer number was added. We halo morph. Okay, morph.
So you mean for the print to front and send to back, the layer number was added to
it used yeah, the front send to front, the send to back and bring to front worked before the layer number was added. And now, for some reason, I just, I looked at that and I said, wait, why can't I send something to the back? It just sort of stopped working for me. And then I said, oh,
yeah,
layer number.
it's
Okay,
because
I
of
gotta
me.
fix that.
It's because of me.
So the introduction of layer number broke the behavior of send to back and bring to front.
No,
did I understand that correctly? Or?
I'm not sure this is that exactly, because it was working okay even when we have layer number. But it's when I start to use different number for different kind of morph. For example, the panel in DrGeo, for example, I use the panel for this when you want to change the style of a line or a point or any object like that. But you have a window. The panel will pop up in front of a window. The problem was when you click on an item in the window, the panel will go behind the window, which is wrong. The panel should remain over the DrGeo window. You don't want the style panel to go behind. So I changed the panel number to be lower of the usual number for the morph. So that's the problem.
Yeah, I just want to say that I think that clicking around on morphs should honor layer number. That means that by clicking on the window behind the panel, you should not be able to put the window in front of the panel. But if you ask for the halo and say send to back and send to from
It should,
to
yeah,
front,
it
then
should,
it should ignore
yeah,
the layer number and just do what you
yeah,
say.
yeah,
And that's what Ken's code is doing. So
yeah,
it
that's
looks
good. Yeah,
like a good idea.
that's very good. So we can fix
Okay.
the various issue we have.
I mean, what I saw before, I'm not sure that. I mean, the halo can be back some other window or something. I'm not sure that's a good that's good. I mean, I thought the halo should always be visible.
Yeah, I think that regarding the halo and the menu, they should have the same default layer number for the problem that can just show us with the halo in front of the menu that just pop up. So we can fix that just to have the same layer number for the menu and the halo. But I agree the
Yeah.
halo should be always on the top beside that.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Well, let's. Yeah. So again,
Yeah.
oops, let me get rid of some of this stuff.
Yeah, you close it.
The, the current behavior, I just find it with the halo on top of the menu. I just find it distracting and harder to read the menu.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, it is.
I
But on
mean,
the
the
other hand,
menu works, but I propose that we bring the menu to the front over the halo.
I think
I
the
Not
same
believe
number.
getting rid of the halo.
but
I
on the
believe
other
that if
hand,
I
if
have
you
the
have
same number, it
Yeah,
should behave the way you want.
yeah. The same number will be fine, I think.
And then if you open the halo on the menu, then the halo won't be on top, and that's what you want. So yeah, they should have the same layer number.
but if that's the case, a menu could, for a small morph, obscure the whole layer halo. No.
Yeah, if you open it on top of it, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But
but
if you open the
But on
halo
the
afterwards, no.
yeah,
Yeah, but
of course.
you can move the menu around
yeah,
to
Yeah,
but yeah,
okay. So okay.
Yep.
Mhm.
it's not. I don't see that as a major problem in
Okay.
practice.
Yep.
great.
Anyway, so I'll tar that up and if I send that to you, Juan, will you take a look at it and do the good thing?
Yes, sure.
Okay,
That's
great,
great.
great.
Sounds
Anyway,
great.
so yeah, I just not having not having the ability to move things, send things to the back or bring them to the front just bothered me. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Cool.
the nice thing about small talk is we can make it do the right thing. Okay, so that's it for me. Let me get out of the
Okay,
sharing
great.
mode and
Thank you, Ken.
release the meeting to whatever.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We live in hope.
So the next thing is to show a little bit the changes in VectorGraphics, right?
Yes.
Okay. I will. I will open briefly a previous version of Quiz so we can see the difference. let's see if I can share. Okay, this is quiz 7.2. Is the last, not the new um, stable release we did this week, but the previous one from November, December. So here we have in any quiz image we have this morph to play a bit with the clipping and to serve as a demo of how clipping works. This green bordered oval contains a star. The star is the same that Ken was using for his example, and if you move the star around, it gets clipped to the to whatever shape the owner has. Okay, but traditionally, Quiz only had one level clipping. So if I clone this morph and rotate it like this and bring it here and embed into the other one, then my new morph is clipped to the old one. That works okay.
But not the, yeah.
Okay. But the new star is only clipped to the outer one and not to the inner one. And that's not right, because if I take it from here, it will be clipped. Okay, so it should be clipped exactly like this when it's here too. Okay, so it can only do one level of clipping. It will only clip to the topmost morph that is clipping and ignore any clipping by the inner ones. And this is what I changed. So I will exit here and I will share an updated quiz image. So let's share this one now. Okay, and let's do exactly the same. I create a clipping morph, it's the same as before. I clone it like always and bring it here and embed into the other one. And now the inner star will be clipped to both.
Great.
So it honors both clipping morph. So that's the big deal. Doing this required doing a completely different clipping algorithm. And there is one downside, and it is that the clipping morph needs to be convex. Okay, if it has holes inside, those holes are not honored. So for each scan line, only the first position and the last position are used to clip, and that's it.
Okay.
But yeah, that's because doing the general clipping algorithm where with holes or concave shapes requires a lot more data structures, and doing that in nested morph is too much memory, too much complexity. It will be too slow. So I found a quicker algorithm that is cheap enough to be done for nested morph, but only for convex shapes, and I think it's usually what you want.
Yeah.
So that's what I did.
Yeah,
So
most of the because we are mainly dealing with rectangle. I mean, rectangle
Yeah,
window, something like that. So that's great.
most of the time it's rectangles, but this demo shows that it can be
Anything.
any other shape as long as it's convex.
Okay.
So it could be
No
something like
hole.
this.
No hole.
Yes,
but if you have only
exactly.
one level of
Yeah,
clipping,
that's great.
There used to be only one level of clipping, but now we have as many as you want.
yes, but my question is, so this restriction on the concave now is for all levels or just for
Yes,
the
it's
inner
for all
levels?
level.
For
I
all
could
levels,
have
okay.
kept both implementations, but it had a performance cost. It added a lot of complexity, and I think that having something that is simpler and better performing is more important. So I removed the old one.
Mm.
Of
Um,
course, yeah. Just
if
wanted to
it's
know.
really needed for something, we can discuss the need.
Okay.
Understand, yeah.
I'm totally willing to discuss any need.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing I did is something that was only in Smalltalk is now on the plugin and is this dashed strokes. Oh, I can, there it is. So
Mm.
yeah, this walking dash strokes
Mm.
are now done by the plugin, so they don't slow down your UI. And I also did some optimizations in the code, and it's in average twice as fast as it was before, and some operations are even faster than that.
Very
Um,
funny.
Yes, that's great.
One
uh,
question: why did you not
yeah,
follow anymore the SVG specification for the dash?
yes. The original implementation, I did it by copying SVG,
Mm.
but implementing that requires an expensive algorithm, an n squared algorithm. So if you have n dashes, it requires n multiplied by n
Okay.
in steps to find what it has to draw.
Okay.
And it also needs to do a detect in a collection. And doing a detect in a collection inside the slang C code, it was expensive algorithmically and it was complicated at the level of code. And then I realized that I could do it in a much simpler way that is equally as good for the programmer, I believe.
Mm.
It's
Yeah,
perfectly,
it's easy to use. No complaint
and
about
it's
that.
way easier to use, and it's the implementation is much simpler and faster.
Okay.
So I just removed the old one.
Okay.
Again, if there is a real need for it, we can discuss what are the best options. It's always possible to add it in Smalltalk code and do it outside of the
Yeah, I
plugin.
did for Dr. Geo. As I wrote to you, I had a layer just to so I don't need to change the code in Dr. Geo. So to make it compatible with the new stuff. For only the few
Uh,
cases I'm using in Dr. Geo, so it's okay for me. Mm.
I think that the best would be to translate the API you like into what the plugin understands,
Mm.
and that cannot do for all cases, but you can get close enough.
Mm.
So that's what I would do. I haven't checked your code, so I'm not sure if that's what you did.
Yeah, I just translate the SVG to the way you described.
Okay, that's best because you still have the high performance of the new code.
Yeah, yeah. It just translate the previous format to this one. So there is a little cost
Cool.
because it does
If
that at each drawing. So maybe I can cache this. Maybe.
maybe you can cache that,
Mm,
maybe it's fast enough.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. Well,
Um, hmm.
yeah, for now,
Yeah,
it's okay.
I haven't tried any examples of actual SVG files that use these. Maybe we could try that and make your code part of the SVG package so that SVG files using this can translate to the new format. Please post your code to the mail list, and I will look for some SVG example that uses that way of specifying the dashes and add your code to the SVG package. Uh, then there are other minor news. You all know that Quiz is based on uses Unicode for all text rendering, but um, I added also primitives for drawing text in ASCII or in UTF-32. That is a format that Quick uses. and this means that the VectorGraphics plugin now is no longer quiz specific. If the Squeak project would want to use it, they could use
Mm.
it to rasterize the text in the format they use. It's also that's new. I added this new primitive to the plugin, and so that's on them now. But they
Okay.
can do it if they want.
Oh, that's
Um,
great.
That's
thank
cool.
you.
Mm.
Did someone ask for that? I'm curious.
Well, yeah, well, yes, it was in private communication, but yes, Elliot Miranda told me that he loved it, and
Ah,
uh,
okay. Hmm.
and I said, yeah, but no one in Squid showed interest, and he said, oh, there would be a lot of interest, and maybe we can make it happen at some time. So I say, okay, then I will add the primitives you need, so you don't need to adopt UTF-8 just for this. I think UTF-8 is better, but it's a completely different decision. So one decision is not tied to the other.
Okay, that's great.
Um,
Yeah, I still think that it would be just great to have Cuis-Morphic or Morphic 3 or whatever you want to call it as a separate project type like MVC or Morphic. That would really that would still be great, I think.
for to be used in Squeak, for
In Squeak,
instance.
yeah. So if Squeak supported
Yes,
this,
yes. Something like that could be done. Yes, it could
mhm.
be done. The morph hierarchy is different, but if it's a different kind of project, it should be doable.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And
that's that's another option. I mean, they
yeah,
can also just start using the vector engine. The vector engine is in the official VMs. So if you just
hmm,
want to call it, it will just work. So
yeah,
maybe
hmm,
not a whole new morphic system, but just using it for rasterization of
yeah, of
true type
course, yeah.
text. That makes sense even in the existing Squeak morphic system. So
Hmm,
that's a kind of decision that they would have to make, and I just
yeah, of course.
wanted to help a bit,
Hmm.
and that's it.
Okay.
I wanted to ask anyway. So you use Slang for writing the vector graphics plugin, right?
Yes, yes.
And you have, but if I remember correctly, you have your own VM Maker version.
Well, that changed it recently. I didn't talk too much about that. I didn't think it would be interesting. I used to have a fork of VM Maker that worked on Quiz, but since after it was published, it was integrated into the official VM Maker repository. Then I think it doesn't make more sense to have the vector engine slang code in Quiz. Actually, today, the official version, the last one with the latest optimizations and fixes, the best code we have for that is not in the Quiz repo, is in the
Ah,
VM Maker repository.
okay.
So in the yes, and in the Open Smalltalk repository. That's the official version. So you
Ah,
still
cool.
see my image. In Quiz, we have in Quiz Smalltalk Dev packages. What is it in features? I think we have this vector graphics plugin. This was last updated on 2022. It doesn't
Hmm.
include the recent changes, and I think I will delete it from this repo. It doesn't make
Hmm.
sense anymore to have it here.
Yeah,
Um,
it's potentially confusing if that's not the latest
Yes,
one.
it's potentially confusing,
Hmm.
and that means that Elliot or other contributors to the VM
Hmm.
may make adjustment as needed. So
Hmm.
in that way, I gave ownership of that code to the VM Maker project.
Hmm.
What we do have, and it's perhaps it's related in a way, what we do have is the Smalltalk version of the plugin that
Oh
is
yeah.
in part of the official quiz image without loading any packages. This image doesn't have any package installed,
Hmm.
and it does have the
Mm.
Smalltalk version. So if you want to play with the algorithms and do experiments, you can do it right now and Quiz without any need for VM Maker, VM building infrastructure, nothing.
Mhm.
And a
So,
modern machine is fast enough to do good experiments here. So
mhm. So, but the Slang version looks similar, but still different, no?
it started as essentially the same code with the slang type declaration saying what variable is a floating point or an integer, that kind of stuff. But then it changed a little bit because of optimizations. These optimizations that made it twice as fast are most of them are not in the Smalltalk version. So the Smalltalk version is more like uh, it's focused on making the concepts easy to see and to experiment and to improve. And then the slang version is a bit optimized.
So
So it's something.
you have to edit both. You
Yes,
experiment with the Smalltalk version, and after you go to the slang version. Okay.
yes,
Yeah. Okay.
yes. I need to edit both, and until last year, I would load the slang code here and edit it in my quiz image. So that would be this one that is a code that we no
Mm.
longer use. This is the
Okay.
slang code,
Okay.
okay, with type
Uh-huh.
declarations and that kind of things.
Okay.
Then the algorithms are essentially the
Same.
same. It has these things like in C code do this, and in Smalltalk code do this,
Okay.
that kind of thing that are usually done in slang. But right now, this is called this plugin package will be deleted, and the official one is the one in VM Maker.
Mm-hmm.
So to edit that code, I use a quick VM Maker image, the same one
Okay.
that Elliot uses to develop VM Maker.
Okay.
So that is no longer done in Quiz. It would be nice to do it in Quiz, but it doesn't make sense to have a fork of VM
Yeah.
Maker just for
Yeah.
this.
You have
It's
to.
too
Yeah.
complicated.
It will be a burden for you in the long term. And
Yeah, and it made sense if it was a plugin only package. But as it was integrated into the
mm,
official OpenSmalltalk VM, then it's part of the official
mm,
OpenSmalltalk VM and it's developed using the same tools and workflow than for the rest of the VM Maker
yeah.
and the OpenSmalltalk VM.
And the if I saw, I didn't. If I've seen this correctly, recently Elliot has done some optimizations to Slang, no? And that also is useful then for the can also be used for the vector engine plugin, no?
He has been working a lot on various areas of the VM. I'm not aware that he's done much changes to Slang performance,
Okay, so
but
maybe
it's
I saw
possible.
it
I
wrong.
don't know.
Mhm.
I'm not. I don't know in full detail everything that Elliot does. One of the things that we changed in Slang, and is something that started here. Let me see if I have a yes. Here we have these examples. In before vector graphics engine, Slang did not let you do this. This type uint32t
Ah,
was not
okay.
there. You had to do int uint long, and that crazy way of calling integer variables in the old days of C, where it's not explicit what size things are. But several years ago, many years ago, the C standard added a new way to specify integer types that is in a file named stdint.h that has these types with explicit sizes. This is part of the C standard. So I modified Slang, the Slang generator, to also handle these types. And Elliot liked the change, so it's part of the official VM Maker tool too. And I think it would be a good thing for plugin code that is dealing with explicit size of integers to use this modern style that is much nicer to think about and to code.
Mhm.
Yeah. So we have an ongoing collaboration with Elliot that is going very well,
Mhm.
and
Yeah, I
this
saw that
includes both
he
GameMaker and Quiz.
I was first. I was really surprised that I see him do commits into have commits from Elliot in the quiz repo, but that's great.
Yes, yes, it's a bit scary, but it's great.
I see. Okay.
We
Yeah.
also, this has no relation to VectorGraphics, but we also added ephemerals to Quiz
Mhm,
uh, some month ago in December.
mhm,
So Quiz now uses ephemerals. That is good.
mhm,
And we will at some point move to the Sista bytecode. That is
cool.
the new bytecode that has been used by Squeak for a lot of years, and
Mhm,
Quiz never adopted it. And it raises some limits of temporal variables and parameters in a method, and it's a bit nicer from the low level view.
mhm,
So yeah, we will be moving. Quiz already supports the system icon, but it's not the default. So
mhm,
at some point we will make it the default. And yeah, that's the news
mhm.
essentially.
Cool.
So, see, Juan, while we have you here, uh, I've noticed an annotation in method categories
Oh
MK, which I suspect happens to be for minimal kernel, in terms of progress toward Bootstrap. And that's
yes,
the thing I was hoping you might let me know about. So
yes,
that's if you
yes.
want to
So
chat
sorry.
about that a little bit. It looks
So
cool. I'm really hopeful.
do,
You're the
do we
good
have
person to
some
do
more
this.
minutes, or the meeting will end right now?
Sorry?
Well, in any case, yes, it's related to that. The first version of Bootstrap I did had explicit list of the stuff to be included in the Bootstrap image, and that is a real pain. And as we last year we changed to a new Unicode intermediate character class, and that broke the old Bootstrap. So I had to work on updating the Bootstrap to what the quiz image is right now. And while doing that, I thought it would be better to have another way to specify what goes into a bootstrapped image, and I came up with that. Um, Maybe it's so distracting. Maybe it's okay. I'm still not really sure if the way to go, but
It's a
it's
method
working well.
category. It's a method category or prefix or.
It's a prefix in method categories. I can
Okay.
show my quiz image again. I didn't close it, so you can see it again. It's over there. So if you open a browser and go to object,
I see. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Okay.
So there is a class category called minimal kernel. So all the
Uh-huh.
classes here need to be in any
Mm-hmm.
image you build, essentially because the VM knows about them or it knows about one of the subclasses. So they
Okay.
need to be there. There are not too many classes. Uh, Booleans, magnitude,
Mm-hmm.
collections, but not too many collections. For instance, ordered collection is not there, but we
Mm-hmm.
do need identity dictionary, streams, and no much else. And for these classes, not all the code is part of the minimal kernel, but
Mm-hmm.
some really required methods.
Mm-hmm.
So this is this prefix mk added
Mm-hmm.
to the method category. So for instance, we have in object, we have these methods are required by the kernel.
Mm-hmm.
Output, basic, add basic, output. These are really needed for a kernel to be able to grow and add additional code and stuff. But these are not. So
Mm-hmm.
this is accessing, but not for the minimal kernel, and this. So this category got broken into two.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that reminds me, Visual H Smalltalk for Ages has a method can be in many method categories. That's really useful, but I guess
Yes,
very difficult to change.
and that's an alternative way to do this. Yeah, yeah, that's a possibility. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
I use it. I used it there. I use it there to somehow categorize which methods are APIs, which are for subclass overriding, and so on. So you can have a lot more of these conventions if you have this possibility.
Yeah, I fully agree. That's a good thing to have. Yeah.
But I guess it's very difficult to change because you need to change all the tools and the file out format and everything. I guess
Yes,
it's not.
and the data structures to represent that inside the
Yeah,
image. So yes, it requires some work. It's not a
yeah.
trivial change to do, but
So
perhaps we will do it someday.
yeah. Okay, cool. That's great.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
you're most welcome.
Good to get the status report once in a while. I
Yeah.
just, I mean, I'm seeing these things happening, and I like to know
Okay.
at what point,
Well,
Cool.
the something else I can say is that I've been working again in Bootstrap, and I am working right now on libraries. Okay, and I my plan is to unify packages and libraries, and that is compiled libraries, right? So it's packages that you don't need to compile to load into the image. So loading is much faster, for instance. And that's part of what I will be working on for the next month. Yeah.
Okay. So I will stop
Well, thank you.
recording right now. It's okay for you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.